WWE United Champions 2010 pay-per-view predictions. Pay-per-view is live tonight, exclusively on pay-per-view. As far as the way this card looks going into the pay-per-view, it doesn't look like it's going to be a great pay-per-view, but I don't think it's going to be a terrible pay-per-view. It's going to be one of those in-between pay-per-views, maybe average, maybe teetering towards a good pay-per-view. Now, the one thing I think everyone's looking forward to with this pay-per-view is the one match that's on here for the United States Heavyweight Championship with Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, which, if it gets enough time, it could be an incredible match. And even if it doesn't get enough time, I'm obviously going to say it right now. It's going to be The Miz's best match he's ever had in his whole entire WWE and probably even his wrestling career. Now, you got the six-pack challenge elimination match for the WWE Championship. Could possibly be good, depending on how they do the eliminations. If they do it in one of those types of matches where it's eliminations here and there and it's just like a 15 to 20 minute match and it's really quick, then it's not going to be good. Now, if they kind of drag it out maybe to close to 30 minutes and they do some good stuff, and it could possibly be a good match. Now, the rest of the matches, Kane, Undertaker, we've seen it so many times. I could really care less of seeing that match. Got the unification of the women's championships, which for a women's match on a WWE pay-per-view could possibly be at least a decent match. CM Punk and Big Show on here doesn't make any sense being on here, considering this is a pay-per-view called Night of Champions, and it's supposed to be dubbed as a pay-per-view where all matches are for the championships and all titles are on the line, which at this moment, the tag team championships aren't on the line. At least a match hasn't been officially added to this pay-per-view. Now, it's been rumors that they possibly might add not a unification, but a tag team title match on this pay-per-view with the Hart Dynasty versus Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre at the last minute. And if they do that, the Hart Dynasty will win that. But it's not official yet, so when I'm going through this card, I'm not going to add that match in there. But it's a possibility that match might get added at the last minute. And the other match, Dolph Ziggler and Kofi Kingston for the IC title. It's a match we've seen several times, but the last pay-per-view they had, they were going on having a pretty good match. Then they did the interruption and interference with Nexus getting involved. They were going on having a pretty good match. So, they could possibly have a good match with each other. So there's a few things on this pay-per-view that if they book it in a certain way, it could actually be an okay pay-per-view from WWE. I just don't expect anything great from this. And WWE expecting fans to go out their way and spend $45 for this pay-per-view where you pretty much, the Daniel Bryan, The Miz is the main selling point, I think, for a lot of us diehard wrestling fans. Six-pack challenge could be good, but it's not one of those matches I'm like, whoa, I need to see this. This is a match that's, worth $45. Or, if the card or anything's on here worth going out your way to purchase the pay-per-view. First matchup will be CM Punk versus The Big Show. This is the one match on this pay-per-view where no title's on the line, which doesn't make any sense for this being on the pay-per-view since it's, called Night of Champions. Now, the one thing that would make sense with this being on here, or at least make a little sense on here, is if CM Punk was a face, because this pay-per-view is going to be from Chicago, Illinois, his hometown, so it would make sense if he was a face. But with him being a heel, unless they're trying to slowly turn him back into a face, it doesn't make any sense being on here, because anyone, no matter if they're a face or a heel, especially, even if they're playing someone like, even though someone like CM Punk is a, big heel, he's from Chicago, Illinois, the crowd's going to hear, that he's from Chicago. They know he's from Chicago. The crowd is going to cheer for him, so it doesn't make any sense doing this. It's really going to be, what's the point of this? It's going to kind of backfire the whole Strange Society thing, and CM Punk's supposed to be this big heel, and he's going to get cheered by the fans, most likely. With this, I think CM Punk will win this match, because even though he didn't get pinned at SummerSlam, I'm not seeing him and, the Strange Society 2 back-to-back months losing the Big Show, and just don't see Big Show going over in this match. I see CM Punk winning some way or another. Next matchup will be for the Divas and Women's Championship unification match for those two titles with Melina versus Michelle McCool, which for a women's match on a WWE pay-per-view could possibly be at least a okay match. Not anything great, but it could be actually an okay and a above-average women's match from WWE, especially with these two. They've had good chemistry in the past, and they haven't, I haven't liked their matches as much as some other people, but I will at least admit they have had some good matches in the past, or at least some solid matches where it's, for WWE standards, for Divas matches, they're actually pretty, watchable, I would say. Michelle McCool, I think, is going to win this, and she's going to become the Unified Divas Women's Champion. Then the next matchup will be Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston for the Intercontinental Championship. This match, they were going on pretty good at SummerSlam. Good back-and-forth action at SummerSlam with these two. than they did the ending where the match ended with the Nexus interfering in that match. Just as long as they don't do something like that and have a screwy ending to this match, these two could have probably a pretty good match. I was really getting into their SummerSlam match up until the ending of it with the interference. So, just as long as they don't do that and give it maybe, 10, 12 minutes, maybe close to 15, these two could have a pretty good match. Nothing, a match of the year or anything greatness, but a pretty good match overall with these two probably. And I'm thinking Dolph Ziggler, he'll win the Intercontinental Championship within this match. The next matchup will be The Miz versus Daniel Bryan for the United States Heavyweight Championship. With this match, it could go either way because they've been going into this pay-per-view where, this past Monday with Daniel Bryan picking up the victory on The Miz in a submission match. It looks like, going into this pay-per-view, Daniel Bryan is going to be becoming the new United States Heavyweight Champion, but sometimes leading up to the pay-per-view, whoever has the advantage leading into the pay-per-view most likely, at least for the most part, ends up losing at the pay-per-view. So hopefully that doesn't go that route, and Daniel Bryan actually wins the United States Heavyweight Championship because he definitely deserves it. And, The Miz is pretty much just using it as a prop, and The Miz has the Money in the Bank, so he needs to just get the U.S. title off of him, just so they can focus completely just on the Money in the Bank and not him having both of them. And Daniel Bryan, they could actually, have him have it for a while and actually try to gain some credibility into the United States Heavyweight Championship and make him like a fighting champion and have him have it for, maybe 4 to 6 months and have him have a great reign with it where he actually puts some prestige back into that title. And it'd be great to have, the mid-card titles actually meaning something yet again, and he could definitely do it. I'm not... just hopefully, I'm hoping they go the route of Daniel Bryan winning. I am going to say he's going to win this match just because, The Miz just needs to, lose the United States Heavyweight title. He's just using it pretty much as a prop. He hasn't been defending it that much. So with that, I'm saying Daniel Bryan has to win it. But don't be surprised when you watch this pay-per-view. A lot of us are, hoping Daniel Bryan wins this. But don't be surprised, if you see The Miz retain the title in some fashion, where, he wins the match with, some cheap tactics or whatnot. But hopefully they go the route of Daniel Bryan winning just because I think they need to get the title off of The Miz and put it on Daniel Bryan and actually maybe have the mid-card title, like I said, have some prestige back into it. Then the next matchup will be Kane versus Undertaker for the World Heavyweight Championship in a no-holds-barred match. Now, with this match, Undertaker, he returned at SummerSlam, so you would think leading up to this pay-per-view that he's probably going to walk out as champion, but I'm actually thinking Kane is going to retain the title. With the no-holds-barred stipulation, I think Kane, some way or another, is going to be retaining this championship. And then leading up to their next match, which they'll have at Hell in the Cell, that's when I think Kane will lose the title and Undertaker will become the new World Heavyweight Champion at next month's pay-per-view. So Kane will somehow win this match. We've seen it a lot of times. This is a feud that we've seen millions of times, and, it could possibly be a good match, maybe, but don't expect too much from it. Undertaker, he's looking pretty bad right now, so we'll have to just wait and see how he performs with this pay-per-view. Don't expect a long match out of Undertaker, so I'm thinking Kane's going to win some way or another. Then at the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view in October, that's when Undertaker will become the new World Heavyweight Champion because they're obviously going to continue this program up until the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view. Don't know if they'll continue it after that because with Undertaker winning the title there, will it really have any purpose of continuing? So we'll just have to wait and see what they go with that. But I'm saying Kane's going to win the match some way or another. Might be an okay match, but not expecting much from it because we've seen it before. It's a rehashed feud that's, almost a 12, 13 years old, and they're trying to still draw money with it. I mean, WWE, can't you try to think of some fresher feuds instead of going and relying on the past of Undertaker and Kane? I mean, I don't think it's going to be one of the worst matches of all time, but it's not going to be anything, fans are going to be talking about, like saying, whoa, did you see that great Undertaker and Kane match? No, they're not going to be saying that. It could possibly be decent at best, I would say. Then the next matchup is going to be the six-pack challenge for the WWE Championship and elimination rules in this match. Current champion Sheamus versus Randy Orton versus Chris Jericho versus Edge versus John Cena versus Wade Barrett. Now, with this match, I'm thinking a title change probably will happen. And the way I'm looking at it is it's either going to be Sheamus retaining or Randy Orton becoming the new champion, just because I don't see Chris Jericho winning it because his contract's ending very soon. I don't see them giving the title to Edge at this point. John Cena's about to do filming for another movie where he's not going to be missing any Raws or anything, but for being a world champion, I think you do have to appear at all the house shows. So with that, he wouldn't become champion. And Wade Barrett, it's way too early for him. I mean, even though if they do make him champion, it will put some energy back into the whole Nexus thing. But they've completely buried the Nexus thing so much that fans don't care about that anymore. And really, even if Wade Barrett wins it, are fans really going to be really excited about the whole Nexus thing as much as they used to be? It could, bring some life back into it, but I don't think it's really going to help the whole Nexus group or anything that much. So, like I said, I'm thinking, Sheamus is either going to retain or Orton's going to win the title. And leading into this pay-per-view, they built up Randy Orton pretty strong. Randy Orton's been very over with the crowd, and I think it would be perfect for him to become champion. And I'm hoping he actually becomes champion. And I'm going with Orton becoming the new champion here in this match, the new WWE champion, because how much longer can they actually go with Sheamus' title reign? I mean, what is he going to do in this match? If is he just going to, come in there, be out of the match for a long time, and come in there and sneak and eliminate the last person and retain the championship that way? Because it's going to just make him look like a weaker champion. So why would they want to do that? And just give it to Randy Orton. Randy Orton's very over, and I'm hoping he wins the title. And I'm thinking WWE will go the route of having Orton become the new champion. So with this pay-per-view, I'm seeing the WWE Championship change hands, the two mid-card titles, and unification matches, obviously just unification, so not really having a new champion there, just unifying the titles, and said Michelle McCool will do that. The Hart Dynasty, if they do add that match to there, since they're taking on mystery opponents, it would be pointless to have the Hart Dynasty lose the Unified Tag Team Championship, so the Hart Dynasty will retain in their match whoever they take on, if that match is even added to this pay-per-view, and CM Punk will win his match against Big Show in the one match that isn't for any title, which, like I said, kind of doesn't make any sense having on this pay-per-view that's Night of Champions. So we'll just have to wait and see how this pay-per-view turns out. Like I said, if they give The Miz and Daniel Bryan enough time, that can be an incredible match. It's definitely going to be The Miz's best match he's had in WWE, and probably his best wrestling match he's ever had in his whole entire wrestling career. Six-pack challenge, depending on how it's booked, could be good. And the rest of the matches, at best could be, solid matches, or at the very least watchable. So it's not going to be a great pay-per-view from WWE. It's not going to be a great pay-per-view outing from WWE, but it has the chance of at least being an okay pay-per-view. But for the most part, the way they built up this pay-per-view, it's kind of built up as a throwaway pay-per-view where the buy rate for this pay-per-view is probably not going to be that good for WWE. And WWE needs to start trying to do some things on this pay-per-view where if they want to do these gimmick-based pay-per-views where, either, the whole, every match is in a gimmick match, or like this pay-per-view where every match is for a title other than, obviously, CM Punk and Big Show on here. They need to make the matches in the card for this pay-per-view more enticing to the viewers. They actually are willing to go out their way and purchase the pay-per-view. Because the way this card looks, I mean, how many fans are actually going to go out their way and purchase the pay-per-view and think, whoa, I need to spend $45 for this pay-per-view? Because the six-way, the six-pack challenge match, elimination match, could be actually a pretty good match. But for the most part, other than the elimination rules, it's kind of a match you would expect seeing on a Monday Night Raw, when they do like a 3-hour special. It doesn't really seem like, a match that's like, whoa, this is a big pay-per-view match that could be like an excellent match. And Daniel Bryan, The Miz, that's really the only selling point on this pay-per-view for, I think, most fans that, actually want to go out and view this pay-per-view, is seeing that match. So, yeah, that's it for my Night of Champions 2010 pay-per-view predictions. All right, peace.